Greetings and welcome to New Dawn presentation 28. As I start this, I haven't even got a clue what the title is going to be. First point is, I mentioned in the last video that I was going to come back to a point about English language and legalese and give you some examples. So if I say to you, you need to bow down and worship the sun. Now, am I saying S-U-N or S-O-N? You don't know which I'm referring to. Do you see if I'm right? See, now, do you see if I'm right? Now, what sense am I saying right? Right hand side, right as in the opposite of wrong, right as in W-R-I-T-E, as in writing, or right as in ritual. This is the way it works with the language. Well, we have to really listen. It's quite amazing. Earlier I listened to two people both wish each other to stay safe. Well, if you think about what a stay is, keeps you something anchored. And a safe, you really want to be in a safe, starved of oxygen. Just carry on wearing those things. Makes me, when they get several together like that, it makes me feel like a shepherd. I must give mention as well to a channel called The Dreaming One. My beautiful friend Christine. It's amazing. I really recommend that you listen to her new series called Dispelling the Illusion. Some real gems of wisdom there, and it's amazing how the synchronicity happens with the messages that we're saying. It's amazing how I'll say something, I'll make it on a video, I'll upload it, then I'll listen to another channel, and it's more or less word for word saying the same thing. It is because we are all one. This is what I feel this synchronicity is all about. It is all coming from one. So it is filtering down into our individual personalities, and we're basically just channeling this same information. It's amazing how it manifests in so many ways, like the number sequences and things, for example. The other thing I wanted to talk about here, well, there's two more points to this. First is, the way I'm seeing things is we are a thought in the mind of the Creator. So perhaps these comets and asteroids and things that go whizzing in the sky are flashes of inspiration or passing thoughts. Doesn't make it any clearer what their substance is in a physical term, whether they're a gas or a solid or whatever. That from that point of view, that's irrelevant. I'm just offering an explanation from a perception of the thing. But the other main point I wanted to talk about, and largely thanks Rue for prompting this from the comment you made on the previous video, this thing called going within, and it's a term that's often quoted but very seldom even discussed. So perhaps I can put that in the context of today, when I went to the supermarket with my mother and she puts on one of these masks. So I thought, I don't really want to be a party to this nonsense. So this is where the going within comes. It's, well, how is that making me feel? Why is that triggering something in me? How am I supposed to respond to this? Where's that response coming from? Is it emotional or is it feeling? because they're two very different things. Emotions are things like the fear, whereas feeling is on the, shall we say, the positive aspects, whereas the emotions, a lot of people are running on a program of fear. It's sold in so many ways. You've got to have house insurance in case your house burns down and you lose all your material possessions, and so on and so on. Everything in this life, you've got to have a mobile phone. What if someone was to mug you or attack you? You wouldn't be able to ring the police. Well, if someone's holding a knife to your throat, you're probably not going to be able to ring the police anyway. So everything is, a lot of people are operating on this fear thing. And what's interesting also observing is this cognitive dissonance seems to, the depth of that, shall we say, the irony of that, the depth of cognitive dissonance seems to correspond with the inability to critically think about anything and the widening gulf between the two. It does seem to be mercury damage that is stopping the frontal cortex from firing and being able to make individual ideas on things. It's still very much the program of this age of Pisces, this groupthink that is going on. And when you think about it, when you congregate, it's like a conglomeration. It's just an almighty soup. And it's loosing the collective, so you get these endless chants and prayers and rituals and things, and it's all repetitive, and it's all a collective manifestation being played on the subconscious. It's like anything you watch, anything that comes into your reality. It's not just projecting out, it's what's being fed in through as like a mind food as well. So it's always about standing back from what message is this story trying to put in for me to then project out. I mean, if you think, it doesn't matter whether it's mystery, history, my story, your story, they're all store eyes. It's what you store in your warehouse. The organised, having an organised loft so you are at loftier heights. Which seems to be, there's also, you've got this sliding scale on this Jacob's ladder. Well, if we're all to have an experience of creation and to interact with that experience, well, how far down the scale would it be to come back and be a 2-year-old that is a sacrificial victim? I mean, if it's, this reality is all about a learning experience, and let's face it, spiritual growth, when we're talking about growth, well, if we are children in the mind of the Creator, surely there must come to a point when you grow and you progress and get out of this level and move to the next level. It will be like me saying to an 8-year-old, here's the keys to a Ferrari, off you go. Are you going to let a child out of this playnet until it's learnt and got sufficient understanding and understanding and knowledge to then, you're not going to let it out while it's in that state, I wouldn't have thought. You've got all the potentials of the chaos and the harm it can do to others as well, which at the end of the day is all part of us, because we're all from a collective. We're all collective from a one. We are all one. So we're sort of turning again on ourselves in a way with a lot of this. What I tend to look at this, and this change in perspective has made things a lot easier for me, is think of it as all experiences from one polarity to the other, from the very good to the very bad. Now, thinking about that term, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, the sadistic irony would be for hell to be everything given to you in an instant. If you had that millionaire lifestyle where you can just buy your way, everything then loses any meaning to it. And another 60-foot yacht and another 60-foot yacht and another Rolls Royce and another mansion and another piece of blackcurrant cheesecake or whatever, it's going to get very, very boring, and it would become a hell. Imagine if you kept coming back and you kept those memories. You weren't following the natural cycle of having the erase code, and you're brought back and you start afresh with the slate wiped clean to try and get it right again. You can't. You don't retain the memories, and then you have to then go through a whole new experience and try and grow out of it. Well, what if you turn yourself probably that far negative? Maybe there's a point of no return where you can't find any light and come back to the positive side. So I certainly wouldn't recommend saying, well, next lifetime then I'll have a nice material experience, because it may be that you actually get locked into that once you're in that. It's all supposition, it's all personal perspective, but I think it's one that needs to be shared. But certainly this going within, it's all about looking at yourself and finding out what is bringing out certain feelings in yourself, certain emotions in yourself, the interaction with everything else that is outside and the projection that you see in front of you. Because it is real, and we can see it also in the sense of real as in like a film reel. If you sit quietly, for example, and you just try and meditate. Now, by meditate, just maybe think about something. Now, watch for those subconscious thoughts that get flung in. If you're trying to focus on something, sometimes the subconscious will just throw up something that's like a complete distraction to derail you off of that thought. That's the sort of stage of going within where you start thinking, oh, where did that come from? Why have I suddenly got this pain in my body? And you go within yourself and you start looking at it and, well, what's caused that pain? What is going on up here that has manifested physically? This is my understanding of how this reality works and this experience is. Again, I'm just sharing this as it sort of comes to me. I haven't got a book in front of me. Like another word I'll get just off the top of my head, knowledge, knowing. So no ledgers, knowing the ledgers, as Levette would say. It's also no wings when you think of politically left and right. Who wants those sort of wings? Because it's part of the same monster that we manifest from what is whispered at us. It's no accident as to why things broadcast at 440 hertz and the television frequency is probably out, because it is giving you a distorted picture or a distorted sound. There is clearly a level at the spiritual energy, the loosh aspect to this, which the Dreaming One channel, Christine, talks about, and words of wisdom. I'm going to sort out putting a playlist of this Dispelling the Illusion series she's doing. It really is worth listening to. I thoroughly recommend it. And I think you know by now, I won't recommend something until I have looked at it, and if it's a video, I will watch it and listen all the way through. I like as well, she's got the camera pointing at the ceiling of the car, because these eyes will deceive with this reality. It's far better to shut that off and just listen and focus on the words that are being said. It's like just where you are now, if you just shut your eyes and just close off that sense and then start seeing with this eye, which is more feeling and sensation, and you possibly can get the sense of energy and things. It depends on what level. There's no right or wrong to any of this. We've all got different gifts. We've all got different abilities, and why should we all have the same some people can experience and feel things that other people can't. That's something that's a repeat throughout all of life. How many times have you walked into a room and think, oh, there's an atmosphere in here? Well, I hope there is, because that's what we're breathing. But there's that negative atmosphere when you can just sense people have had an argument and no words are even said. I think most people can relate to that. That's just the tip of the iceberg with what we can feel when you consider that we're only seeing 1% of visible light between the ultraviolet and the infrared. That's 359% we're losing out on, that is all around us that we can't detect. But it doesn't mean it's not there. But it really is wonderful. And what are we up to on the time here? 15 minutes of me waffling, I think it is. So yeah, I wanted to sort of bring the points I'd forgot to say on the last video, and I had to mention this beautiful new series called Dispelling the Illusion, the Dreaming One channel, and also share a little bit more about the going within. There's a lot more to that, and I will talk about it as when I go through the experiences. With the mask thing, well, the way I see this whole reality is just one big joke, really. We've got the sun worship on the one polarity and the lunatics on the other, and they flip backwards and forwards, and we've got to walk the path between the two, really, because the rest of it just seems to be absolute insanity. Some of the things that it's just beggars belief. It really does. It's like, well, you know, I don't even need to say it, because you've got to be mindful. The subconscious is basically where your personality is, and the part of the creator that is you, that make the individual part. Now, when you feel something, it does manifest into this reality. The subconscious will mishear what you say, because we're taught to speak bibble babble and words all back to front. So if you want world peace, the subconscious will manifest the feeling of want. It doesn't know the difference between good and evil. It just says, oh, that's the experience you want, that's the experience you will have. It's when you surrender over to the conscious that can distinguish the good from the bad and make the conscious decision. This is why you must bring everything into the now, to feel and experience it and to manifest it, because you do it when you first thing in the morning when you wake up. You do it, you go to sleep in this state, so it communicates into the subconscious, so that is what you'll manifest. It's really that simple. This is the true power that is being hidden from us all, but it's there to be found. It's there to be practiced, to perfect and bring abundance. Now, I'm not saying I'm a bit concerned with a number of channels and things and different talks people have done about manifesting millions of pounds and having a millionaire life. Well, to me, that is not using that ability in the right way. Fine, if you want to manifest millions, well, do something beneficial and help the rest of yourself, or at least part of yourself, because we are all part of the creator. So why would we want to turn on ourselves if we are all one? Surely it would be far better to all help each other. Anyway, I'm going to say ta-ta for now. It's been an interesting experience. I think there's a lot of retrograde movements with all these planets. We're stuck in this one until we learn and grow and graduate out of it, and move to sort of higher levels, for want of a better word. But I feel that is the answer. That is what our purpose of us being here is to do, is to graduate and spiritually grow and become a responsible co-creator. so we can create our own universes, our own worlds, because you wouldn't want anybody reckless going out there and doing that. So you keep them in until they've learnt the lessons to then go out and do the right thing. So that's how I see it. So I will say ta-ta for now.